Is there a prospect for kind of a wider collapse based on as you're putting it, morale and the disintegration of the army?
Most definitely, and this is important what you say about disintegration, because this is exactly what we saw in Kharkiv and in the south in September and October. Like the whole units just leave everything behind and run, because they perfectly understand their real capabilities and they understand that they have zero chance to hold ground in front of Ukrainian advances. We see more of that. And also, again, we can speak of desperation here, because we know that to train a able combat-ready force takes a lot of time. Takes not even months, but years, right? And here we have people who, barely know how to hold an AK-47 really thrown into battle. Plus, I have to say, on a more serious note, this is a systemic problem. The Russian army is under-equipped, undersupplied. It's not a bug, it's a feature. Because Putin and his budgetary policy over the past years was always prioritizing the military manufacturing industries. Mm-hmm. This is about where 2/3 of the Russian budget goes. So that's the beloved child, all this corrupt defense industry related oligarchy. Army received crumbs from the table, right? The situation is not changing.
For training, for maintenance, for logistics.
Supply. It's just a few $1 billion a year. Like before the war broke out and there was a sort of a real market exchange rate and free convertibility, I think the total supplies budget for the whole Russian army was just about $6 billion a year. Like all of that, all of the electricity, all of the fuel, all of the food, and all of the uniforms and all that stuff. For the whole Russian army, $6 billion a year. That's next to nothing. They plan to increase it, but not dramatically. Maybe by the magnitude of like 40-50% increase, which will still not resolve the catastrophic supply crisis. And in terms of training the army, you spoke about the volunteer battalions. That was exactly what was happening all over the summer when they tried to recruit people in the regions for money to become contract servicemen and go there. We saw that they were training in this training ground in Nizhny Novgorod, Mulino, which was built with the help of the Germans, unfortunately. This was going on for several months, and these were exactly the same battalions who left everything and ran. So that we saw in Kharkiv. So these troops assembled in haste with this, draft, immediately sending them to the battlefield without basic supplies and basic training would be even worse. So we can expect really a lot of successful Ukrainian advances pretty soon, to which I think we will see more hysterical and barbaric reaction and retaliation from Putin. Putin and his generals, they think flat. They only think about figures on paper. Generals want to justify their failures on the battlefield and say, oh, Vladimir Vladimirovich, we need more men. If you give us like 300,000 more men, then we'll manage up. So,
which is almost like an excuse for their failures, right? I mean, we just don't have enough men.
I'm sure. So this was the move prepared by the generals who wanted to use the lack of manpower as an excuse for their failures, right? But Putin went on further, and I think they really have hard time assessing the quality of the troops. We saw that since the beginning of the war. They really believe that because they outnumbered Ukrainians in the beginning, that might be a pretext for a successful blitzkrieg. I think they have hard time learning that quality matters. The one thing I'm sure Putin and his generals have not yet learned to understand is morale of the troops. I think they don't believe in it. I think they believe it's some artificial concept invented by Western pundits. Morale does not exist, only money and power. That's their thing.